Hello and welcome to the Daily Royal. My name is Shelby and I have been a royal watcher for the past 10 years. In this podcast, I talk about the daily events of 7 of the European monarchies. So I talk about Belgium, the UK, Denmark, the Netherlands, Norway, Spain, and Sweden. I upload Monday through Friday with occasional bonus episodes here and there. Today we are going to be talking about all of the events from the weekend. From July 8th to yesterday, July 11th of 2021. So here's the deal, guys. I actually got really sick, on Thursday night. I fell asleep at like 7 p.m. and slept all night. And then went to the doctor Friday and really just couldn't breathe. I'm sure you've noticed that I've had to like gasp for air during recordings and things like that. And it just kind of all reached a fever pitch. And, I'm good now. Well, I'm not. I'm working on getting good again. I'm on some medicine. I've been tested for things. I don't have COVID, thank goodness. I am fully vaccinated, so I wasn't super concerned anyway. But, there was just a lot going on. My throat is pretty raw in terms of I've been coughing so much. So I was going to record last night, but just really wasn't able to. I had spent the day talking way more than I normally do in a day, to be completely honest. And by the time I was ready to record, my voice was just gone. It's still kind of rough. But I am recording this on Monday morning. So we're going to go through everything that happened Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There are things this is crazy because there are things happening right now. But we'll talk about that. I'm going to record again tonight is the plan. And if I don't, when I record tomorrow, I'll cover Monday and Tuesday. But I plan on recording tonight. That also brings us to, it looks like it's going to be a weird kind of week. So the tentative idea is I might be recording every other day anyway, but then there are enough things that it's possible I could be recording every day, but not probable. I do think I'll record today because it's the first day of a week and there's a couple of things that I want to talk about that are longer. So we'll see. Also, that depends on how I'm feeling. Okay, so we're going to jump right in. The good news is, in all honesty, it wasn't a slow week. 4 days by any stretch of the imagination, but things are congregated to 3 countries, with a very small thing in Sweden as well. It's not a very small thing, but it's all concentrated in Belgium, the UK, Spain, and then an event in Sweden. So it's still going to be a pretty, normal length episode, even though it's 4 days of coverage. And also the weekend events are all kind of running together. So we are going to jump right in. We're going to start with the Belgian royal family. For a family that I fully expected to be on vacation, the Belgians have shocked me. with having events kind of sporadically last week and even into this week, it seems like they're going up until National Day this year. And then their summer vacation will probably start in August, which is expected. And it just has shocked me. So on Thursday, which was July 8th, King Philippe started his day. He held a meeting with the president of the Flemish Parliament to mark the feast of the Flemish community. So I've talked about this a couple of times, but just a slight refresher. Belgium is made up of 3 different communities that are centered in the languages that they speak. So they congregate in the same area. So there's Flemish, which is the primarily Dutch-speaking community, Wallonia, which is the French-speaking community, and then there's a German-speaking community as well. And they each have their own parliament, and then there's like the federal, I call it the federal because I'm from the States, but it's like the federal government or the national government of Belgium. So that's where like the prime minister is, and the cabinet is in that quote federal government. But then these like communities have their own parliamentary systems as well. So there's like a president of the Wallonian government, there's a president of the Flemish government. And so that's what this is. But then ultimately Belgium is like run by the federal. Very similar. I mean, it's very similar to like Spain and the autonomous communities, the states, and like how we have individual states, and then we also have our president and our like official federal government, and then we have our state government and our local governments. And so it's that same sort of system. Just, I feel like if you're from the States, you might especially get confused when I talk about this because it's not in the way we think of the world as like U.S. citizens, because it's not the way our government runs. So that's how Belgium works. And really for the most part, every country that I talk about has something similar. Scandinavia has like the federal and then like the local, like the county governments, but they're not as intense as like Spain's autonomous community or Belgium's language-centered communities. So anyway, that was the first event on Thursday. Also on Thursday, King Philippe visited the Brotherhood of Parachutist Agents to mark their 75th anniversary. So this is a fraternal organization that was founded by veterans who parachuted into the occupied Belgium during the Second World War. So 75 years ago, the war had just essentially ended. And they created this fraternal organization, this brotherhood, so similar to like a Masons type of fraternal organization like this. And they just all joined together to have this common thread. So they were mostly British trained. I don't know if that means they were English but they were trained in England to parachute and then parachuted in to Nazi occupied Belgium. So I found this one to be like a really odd, because I didn't understand it, and I still don't completely understand like if there is a secondary focus of the organization, like if they do good deeds or if it's just truly like they spread the history, and so that like that's really cool in and of itself. I'm not demeaning that. It was very confusing. The website, because here's the thing, I've been sick for 3 days. I've had a lot more time to research than I normally do. So the website for the organization like wasn't super helpful, and I didn't go far beyond their own website, but that's okay. So it was a really cool event anyway. And I think there was one veteran who was part of the founding group, who King Philippe got to sit down and talk with. The thing is, of course, now we're coming into a time when there aren't really a ton of World War II veterans left, sadly. With the war ending 75 years ago, generally the youngest was going to be 18. So that's, they're almost 95, 93 to, they're relatively old. And so there aren't that many surviving veterans of the Second World War anymore, which is very sad. But I do think King Philippe was able to talk. He looked like he was a veteran of the Second World War, but I'm not sure. So those were King Philippe's events on Thursday, and then also on Thursday, Queen Mathilde gave the opening address to a virtual UN United Nations event about the impact of violence on children's mental health. So she has been working in circles for the past couple of weeks, really diving into the issues on this. We've talked about kind of her video conferences with the UN on child violence, and then with the World Health Organization. So it all culminated into this virtual event hosted by the United Nations. It was a high level, which means kind of the highest UN people were involved in it, which is, of course, a big deal. So she gave the opening address focusing on the impact of violence on children's mental health and being born into conflict and things like that. So that was her Thursday. And then on Friday, so I've had a hard time kind of navigating these waters of the younger generation of royals. Here's where I have ultimately kind of landed, though. If things are an official event on a calendar of the royal families, which is all I talk about anyway, okay? 99% of the time, I don't talk about other events or tabloid rumors or things that aren't publicized by the royal house. However, it is still really challenging to talk about the younger generation. This shouldn't be the case here, because Princess Elisabeth, the Duchess of Brabant, is 19. She is an adult. But I still have a hard time because, she's in school and, that needs to be the priority. But she was available for a press call on Friday so she's at the Royal Military Academy in Brussels doing a year of military training, which culminates in July. The students, cadets, whatever they're called, go on a month-long camp, essentially, where they're doing training missions and things along that nature. And so on Friday, she was available to the press, who were able to spend the morning kind of following her and taking pictures of what her day is like at this camp. So, like I said, this is for the month of July. She'll take part in the Belgian National Day celebrations on July 21st, and then have an additional week of camp. And then, to our knowledge, that will be the end of her military training for now. They still haven't announced next steps for her, but that's okay. And so for Friday, the press, like I said, was available. She was available to the press for a couple of hours, which included morning salute, breakfast, training exercises, And then she came over. This was the, like, no one expected this part. So she came over and she spoke, I believe she spoke in Dutch, to the press, which makes sense because she's in a Dutch speaking unit, like, because Belgium has 3 different official languages. She was put with, like, she chose to be put in a Dutch speaking unit. And so she came over and she talked about how she is used to getting up very early, which is at 6 a.m. She's had to adapt to a lot. She is enjoying her time. And then she also ended with, I hope to see you again on July 21st, which is Belgium's National Day. And like I said, she'll be taking part in the National Day parade, I think. So I'm not sure what her involvement will be with, like, the royal family events, because they do a couple of additional things on July 21st. So I don't know if Elizabeth will be part of that, or if her focus will be on the parade as a student of the Royal Military Academy. Either is fine. But it's just been an interesting, like, navigational process, because each of these, like, youngest generation of royals are at very different stages and very different availability. In the Netherlands, we haven't seen too much of Amalia, which is fine, who is almost 18. But then in Spain, we've seen Leonor and Sophia a lot, and, like, they have their own, like, they have an event this week on their own. So it's just an interesting thing to navigate, talking about what I consider children, and being very aware that these are children who are still being formed as royals and people. And really just navigating that. So, anyway, that is what was going on in Belgium. I know I just talked a ton, but now we are going to move over to the British royal family. The UK is where things have been really busy, but also very repetitive. So you'll see what I mean in, like, 1 second. But it's just kind of been not quite Groundhog Day, but very much similar feeling in that it's kind of the same thing day after day. So on Thursday, which was July 8th, Queen Elizabeth had an event, which was wonderful, and it was, again, like, a good in-person quality event, which I'm loving. So she visited Manchester, where she started her day visiting the set of Coronation Street, which is a soap opera that I think runs on ITV, and it is the world's longest running soap opera. It's been running for, like, 60 years. Which is crazy, you guys. Like, that is double my life. Like, that is crazy town. So it was a really big deal to a lot of people that she visited the set. To me, I've never seen the show. I'm not going to watch the show. I'm not a soap opera person. I am I am watching a, like, primetime soap opera on Netflix right now. I'm watching Jane the Virgin, which is, like, essentially a telenovela in primetime television in the States. It's ended now, but I'm binging it. I'm not really binging it, but, like, I'm watching it on Netflix. And It's a lot of drama, and I'm not a person who enjoys a lot of drama. I get enough of that following the daily events of royal families, honestly. But it's like as soap opera as I'm gonna get, that and Grey's Anatomy, like those evening soap operas. But so this is not something that I really understood the hype around, because I have watched maybe like 4 episodes of a soap opera in my entire life, and none of them were Coronation Street. I think most of it was like The Bold and the Beautiful or something. I don't know. But anyway. So she was able to meet with some of the actors and crew and just talk about like the longevity of this show. I don't really think they were talking like in depth about plot lines or anything like that. There is like this anecdote that I've seen, and I can't remember who shared it now. It was probably Chris Shipp, who is the royal correspondent for ITV, because he was doing a lot of coverage since Coronation Street is on his network. And they were talking about like all the trouble that you can get into, because of course the soap opera is just one long drama. And she said something along the lines, oh, well, you know, life is constant trouble, or like, you know, in terms of like, there are constantly things going on that require attention in life, which is also true for Queen Elizabeth, whose life seems played out like a soap opera. I'm sure it is not in everyday life, but like the parts that we are sometimes exposed to definitely feel that way. So that was her first event, and then she also visited the Manchester Cathedral to meet with clergy and worshippers there. And I think it was to mark an anniversary, like possibly the 600th anniversary of the cathedral. Let me find out. I have a gazillion pictures so it's the 600th anniversary of the Collegiate Church. So I'm not sure if that was the actual, like, the cathedral in Manchester, or I think it is, but I don't know. And I also think that was last year, was the 600th, but 2020 did not do us a ton of favors. So that is what was going on for Queen Elizabeth. And then it was also, we're still in Wales Week at this point on Thursday. So it was day 4. And this was it was a very churchy day on Thursday for the British royals, because the Prince of Wales attended a few events to mark the 100th anniversary of the church in Wales. So he attended a Thanksgiving service at St. David's Cathedral. He visited the St. Martin of Tours Church, and then finally met with members of the congregation at St. Brynac's Church. So it was just a day full of visiting different churches throughout a community in Wales, and meeting with different people and different organizations within the Church of Wales, or Church in Wales, that partake in events. So that was, I wasn't too interested in that, honestly, but like, I think by this point on Thursday, because I did my outline and I was like ready to go, and then I just started falling downhill very quickly Thursday. And so I think by this point I was just like, yeah, this is the most boring kind of day I've ever seen in my life. But anyway, whatever. We are through it, kind of. I just didn't really enjoy that day of Wales Week. I didn't enjoy the 9th, so we'll talk about that in just a second. And then those were the only 2 things on the court circular as well for that day. So I'm not going to check the court circular for each of these days, but I did write in my outline that I was finishing up last night, like, okay, this is confirmed by the court circular, this was it. And then, so that brings us to July 9th, which was the 5th and final day of Wales Week. And so this was a day that I really enjoyed. So on Friday, Charles visited the Glamorgan Cricket Club, which is so fun. So for those who haven't been following my journey, I'm becoming this, like, sports person. I'm not, but, like, I watched a lot of sports this weekend. And I feel kind of weird now that, like, a lot of the sports that I have watched are over. But hey, it's almost Olympics time, so it's fine. But cricket is not one that I have started watching. I might. But it was just really interesting fun to see something a little different, because my life has been, and the Royals' lives have been, kind of dominated by the Euro Cup and Wimbledon. And so this was just something different. It was a nice little change in pace. And then he was also meeting children who played cricket at the club. So, like, school-age children who take part in club activities with cricket. Then he attended a reception with the Prince's Trust in Wales for the Launched in Lockdown program, which was a program of enterprises and organizations and different things that, like, were started during the pandemic or because of the pandemic. And then he finally visited the Ponthier House Inn, which is a local pub that during the throes of the pandemic, because restaurants were closed, they actually became, like, a location for essential foods. So, like, pantry staples, fresh vegetables, like, they became a location to do that. So they could, one, stay in business, but also support the residents in a way that still worked. So that was really cool. And then also on Friday, the Duke of Cambridge took part in a charity polo match that supported several charities of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge that they're, like, patrons of, are really involved in, including Each Hospice and Centerpoint, which are organizations that they have been involved with for a very long time. So that was Friday. Saturday was Wimbledon day. Well, it was Women's Championship day at Wimbledon, and the Duchess of Cambridge alongside the Duke of Cambridge. So the Duke of Cambridge also came, but it was not primarily his event. He was there in a supportive husband capacity. So they attended the Women's Championship match of final at Wimbledon, which was fun. So I have not really paid attention to Wimbledon this year. I don't ever really pay attention to Wimbledon. I think I have maybe gotten invested in it once, like, in my entire life. And so this was not really, like, a big thing for me. I chose to watch it because it was announced maybe the day before, like maybe on Friday, that the Duchess of Cambridge would be there. And knowing the schedule enough of the British Royals, this was pretty much what I assumed the last weekend we're going to see the Duchess of Cambridge for a while, because the schools are officially on summer break, and they're going to, it just is summer for them, and Kate and William are both really just hands-on and want to spend the summers with their kids, which I think is fine. But it's just, like, the last time we're going to see them for a while, and I just wanted to, like, enjoy it. And also, like, what else did I have to do? At this point, I'm sick, so I'm like, well, I'm awake and I can't really do much, so I'll just watch Wimbledon. And so that was Saturday. So they were there for the whole match. And then Kate presented the trophy to the winner of the match, who is from Australia. Ashley Barty, I think, was her name. And then she was accompanied by the Duke of Kent, who is president of the All England Lawn and Tennis Association, which is what runs Wimbledon, like the competition. And he announced, I think maybe also like Friday or Thursday or Friday, that this would be his last year in that capacity. So that's a big deal, of course. And so he was on center court with Kate for the presentation of that trophy, as well as the one yesterday, which we'll talk about in, we'll just actually transition to that. So that was Saturday's. And then on Sunday, the Duchess of Cambridge was also at Wimbledon center court for the men's single championship. This time, instead of bringing William, she brought her dad, which I think is so cute. So Michael Middleton came as her guest in the royal box. And then again, the trophy ceremony for the champion. Only this time the trophy was presented by the Duke of Kent, who also was given the Duke of Kent was also given a miniature Wimbledon championship trophy for his years of service as president, which so fun. Like, I loved it. It was lovely. I think it's been it's sad to see this older generation of British royals kind of retire, but also, like, it's been announced for the most part that Kate is going to take on most of those duties that the president has, because she's already patron of the All England Lawn and Tennis Association, which is actually a higher status than president. So a lot of that is going to go to her anyway. So that was, it's just like a weird times they are changing kind of moment. So that was really, really cool, yesterday morning. And then in the evening, it was, the final of Euro 2020, between Italy and England, and so the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. So the Duke of Cambridge was there in his capacity as president of the Football Association, and then he brought Kate and George. So he brought the Duchess of Cambridge and Prince George to accompany him to the final of this Euro Cup. And England scored their first goal in the first 2 minutes, and then nothing happened for like 65 minutes, and then Italy tied. We went into extra time, and then Italy ended up winning in penalty kickoff, like a penalty kick to decide the game. It was devastating. And like I've said, for most of my life have hated football/soccer. I really enjoyed this competition. I think I knew I was very invested in Spain's win. But I think like once they were out, it was very much like I did not have a super invested interest in whether Spain or Italy or England won this game. Like, I didn't care. I still don't. However, I was really sad for the English fans to watch that happen in Wembley with penalties. And now I wasn't, because it's the next day, people suck. So I will probably not talk about this in the episode I record tonight because I'm talking about it now. But like, there is so much racism happening in England right now, and like just pure fury at the players who missed penalty kicks, and it's so dumb. Like, it's so dumb. People need to stop. Like, they're trashing Wembley, and it's just, I understand that it's a hard loss. I really do. But like, come on, be better. Like, be better, people. So I will say the Duke of Cambridge sent out a tweet this morning condemning it, and I'm actually going to read it because as mad as I am, I think William might actually be madder. So he wrote, "I am sickened by the racist abuse aimed at England players after last night's match. It is totally unacceptable that players have to endure this abhorrent behavior. It must stop now, and all those involved should be held accountable." And it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter why it's a racist thing other than it doesn't matter. I don't even know how to talk about this in formed, coherent sentences because I'm infuriated. Like, you don't get mad at the players for any reason ever. Like, they played, they tried. It is more than anyone who's throwing things can do. I'm just gonna say that. Like, I don't think you can be a world-class football player. If you can, go do it and prove to us next Euro or World Cup or whatever that you're better. Like, that's what I have to say. It's disgusting. Okay. Rant over. So those were the events in the British royal family. We are now going to hard transition to the Spanish royal family. In Spain, there were just a few events on Thursday and Friday. We're not going to go into a lot of detail because honestly, there's just like not a ton of detail to go in on. And I've talked for a long time already. So on Thursday, King Felipe and Queen Letizia attended ARCO, which is the International Contemporary Art Fair that happens every year in Madrid at the IFEMA Pavilion. It is an annual event for Felipe and Letizia. They have gone, I think, every year. So they went in 2004, probably before their wedding, and then they have gone every year since 2009. And it's just a really fun, like, there are different galleries hosted. It's just really cool. A lot of different contemporary art. Last year, I remember them doing this, and it was like literally right before the pandemic. And I thought it was so stupid that they were going. Because it was like right as you knew things were getting bad and like, we should maybe not be doing this. But of course it's Spain. So like, okay. Like now I understand a little bit more like why they did what they did. But I still think it's dumb. And so last year I was already upset about the event in general because it felt like unnecessary. But it also was very modern, and I don't get modern art. I don't get art. I really don't get modern art. But this year, like, I still don't get it. Believe me, I still have no idea. I don't understand. But I liked the visual pieces a little bit more this year than I did last year or any of the like previous years' videos that I've seen. It was just kind of different and fun. And I don't know, it was just different. So that was Thursday, and then Friday, King Felipe attended the graduation ceremony of the General Military Academy at Zaragoza, which is an annual event. So it's military academy graduation season, essentially. So King Felipe will be attending quite a few of these over the next little bit. I think he has for sure the Air Academy this week, and maybe even naval or submarine, like some sort of naval something I think might be this week too. But this is an annual thing. He will go. Sometimes Letizia will accompany him, but he goes. He hand delivers himself, to the top grade or like the top student. He'll do that and then presides just over the graduation ceremony. Sometimes there are like demonstrations afterwards, especially like at Air Academy. They do a couple of different things. But, so he'll preside over that. We might go into more detail, on the Air Academy one. This one, the graduates included new members of the Royal Guard, members of the Civil Guard, and Army. So lots of different facets at the General Military Academy, but it was all, land-based military. So that is what was going on in Spain over the past couple of days. No events on Saturday or Sunday. Huge schedule this week for them. They are pretty much going to be the main royal family keeping us afloat, just so you all know. So anyway, that is what was going on there. So now we are going to jump over to Sweden. On Friday, King Carl Gustaf and Crown Princess Victoria took a break from their summer holidays at Solliden, because there's a new Swedish government. Well, kind of new. It's not really new. It's the exact same government. It was just re-elected. That's right. The prime minister, who was, resigned because of a vote of no confidence, is somehow now the new prime minister. I'm so confused. And I understand that changes are challenging in this time, although spoiler alert for tomorrow's episode, or tomorrow's episode, Spain just did a whole 180 on their government. It's bizarre. But what? This dude just lost a vote of no confidence last week, 2 weeks ago, and is now I'm so confused, you guys. I have tried to do research, and it's an unexplainable thing. The websites and articles that I have read on this cannot explain to me why this is the way this happened. It is so crazy. So typically, this would be a shift in government council meeting. And it was, except it's the exact same government. I can't. What is this? It's so bizarre. It is the craziest thing ever. I really wish I could be Swedish and understand kind of the nuances of this a little bit more, rather than reading Politico articles and things like that, because I just don't think it gives a good picture of what just happened. But hey, if you're Swedish, are you as confused as I am? Because what is going on? I kind of thought a vote of no confidence would mean you're blacklisted now. But no. Now that guy is the new prime minister, but also the same prime minister. I don't know. I'm confused. So that's my little rant about the Swedish event. It was wonderful to have a little break in the summer calendar, because we'll see the Swedish royal family on Wednesday for Victoria's birthday celebrations, and then they'll kind of continue on their summer vacation. So it was just nice to have an additional something. And then I will say, this is, these are private events, so I'm not going to talk about them in full. But there have been a lot of summer events for the Swedish royal family, things that they're doing on the island. near Soledad, and the other day they went to a concert, and Princess Estelle was there, and her cousin, Princess Leonor, was there. And oh my God, these children. So the last time we really saw them together, like just the two of them, was in probably 2014 or 15, 2014 maybe. And like they were just little, and now they're 7 and 9, and it's the craziest thing. Like, it's crazy. They're so grown. And I'm loving it. But I think we'll see maybe some more cuteness over the next little bit. But again, those are like private events, so I'm not going to talk about them, but like there are pictures, and oh my goodness. But those pictures you cannot find on my website because private events. Okay, so with that, I am going to end this episode here. I have updated the website. I've updated the Instagram. Both of those are the Daily Royal. Things have been moving, just I haven't been able to record because I haven't had a voice. So I know this episode went a little bit long, but I've missed you all. So of course it did. And so with that, I will talk to you all, I guess still tomorrow, because I'm putting this up same day. It feels very strange. I'm not used to putting up episodes same day. But I will talk to you all tomorrow for all the events that are happening right now while I record. Have a fantastic remainder of your Monday, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.